Welcome into episode 10. Bhed Home. Guados with their fiends are raiding the place. And the only question that matters right now is...
Where's Yuna?
Summoner's Sanctum. This way. Before going in though, there's a pretty unknown little pickup here. If you search Kyaku's body, you get 2 high potions. My man went out with healing items in his pocket, which really makes you wonder. Why didn't anyone throw a finish down? Not worth it. Get that right.
We'll be there soon, Uni.
Inside home is 3 bombs with a Guado coaching them. And at this point, I already know the answer. Just a petrify grenade. Honestly, you could blast through this entire section with that one item. But we're taking a slightly more civilized route here. Silence grenade burst, Arctic winds for the bombs, Guado under silence, he's not saying a word. Then I started to drop in some bomb fragments. I wanted to leave at least 1 bomb alive for steals, but these Guados have been power leveling since Macalania because this guy was eating fragments. Dropped into dangerously low HP a couple of times, had to heal. Guado silence, he won't act, he's out. Bombs doing what the bombs do. The math worked out. I survived these attacks. Steals come in, palm core times 2, good value. Once I got what I needed, I swapped in the break knuckles and started menacingly breaking them down. Here in home, if you straight line from the entrance to the exit, there's not a lot of forced encounters you have to take. Run to the puzzle rooms and you'll find more forced encounters. So with that said, I was on to my second forced encounter. 2 dual horns and a Guado. Sleeping Powder out. Switch into SOS null plays from Killiga, still paying dividends. Guado spams fire for decent damage, but once I'm into SOS HP, I'm fine. Ninja Claw equipped, and this is a little back and forth dance with the Guado. Music to my ears. But just like Seymour, this guy refused to go to the far plane on schedule. Dual horns wake up, sleeping powder again. This time the Guado just drops. 2 weakened, the rest here is easy. I'm not gonna break my knuckles in my hand, I go for the Ninja Claw and inflict death on these cows. Ninja style. At home, if you spin around too much, you'll get a random encounter here as well. But I just petrify grenade these ones, just to remind everyone how strong that item is. Against this lineup, I probably should have thrown Silence Grenade, but I do got my SOS null plays on, and I am immortal. Since you were Christmas enough to dispose of the Yunoleska, alright, I just can't do Seymour's boys. Final forced encounter here, 2 Chimeras and a Guado. This is easily the hardest fight in home. And I'm starting to utilize Lunar Curtains, something I picked up way back in Thunderblades, and it's becoming more common every step we take. As I mentioned earlier in Macalania, Chimeras do a random act first and then they lock into a pattern. So luckily they open with their weakest attack, normal attack, which does a quarter of your current HP. They start with the same move. I'm not sure if that's scripted or if I just got super lucky there. SOS Nulltide goes on, second stone attempt on the Guado, miss again. Aqua Prets comes in, I'm fully blocked. Nice piece of armor there. I don't even remember where I picked this one up at this point, but the Fyra still hurts. At this point I'm thinking, maybe I should have just opened with Silence Grenade. You know, strategy planning, deep thought, petrify grenade. Fight's over. There's some real deep thought for you. Like, who has time for these? They're gonna lock into a battery, I'm gonna use SOS Nobles. Grab the chest, don't even bother with the riddles in here. This is where we get our last I'm annoying Haas in.
Quite the escape.
And then it's time for the airship. Check the Rin shop, basic stuff. Then Rin hands over one of the wildest rewards in Final Fantasy X. 99 underdog secrets. Relax, we're not abusing overdrives. Until now, we haven't needed them. Even Anima went down in 1 turn. But if things ever go sideways, we're insured. You can also farm bomb cores in the airship encounters here. Good to know. And then...
Evrae is truly mighty. Be well prepared.
We gotta pay? If we lose, you'll die too, buddy.
Rin isn't lying. This red carpet has teeth, and it bites. Rin is a true businessman, even staring death in the eyes, still gatekeeping items behind a payment. Evrae comes in with the 32,000 HP, resists all elements, and moveset built to punish mistakes fast. You're dealing with Poison Breath, Stone Gaze, Physical Attack, Swooping Scythe, Photon Spray, and Game Overs. Evrae can haste itself, and once it finds a rhythm, it snowballs hard. And what I'm left with is a solo character with the chance to manipulate distance through the airship commands. First attempt, Chocobo Feather Up, that's mandatory. I open with Darkness, and immediately you can see the value. Evrae goes for a physical attack and misses. Ball back on me. I go for a power break. Okay, looking good so far. I can actually start setting things up. I switch to poison touch. Evrae strikes again. Miss. At this point, I'm thinking, yeah, this is gonna be fine. So I test poison. It's immune. I should have known that. I swap into a Buster Knuckles. My first attempt is always about learning what sticks, what doesn't, what looks promising on paper but dies in practice. And that's when it really hits me. 305 damage per hit. That's not great. That's over 100 attacks to win this fight. Evrae inhales. Poison breath is queued. I check the CTP. Not enough time to pull the ship back. Sid is apparently on a bathroom break. So I do the only thing I can. Shell and protect. Poison breath comes in for almost 700 damage. Poisons me and wastes my next turn. And then I completely forget that Albert potions cure statuses. So I Asuna instead. Yeah, that one's on me. Evrae boots up a Stone Gaze. I knew it was coming. I'm wearing Stone Brew from Jose Road. All the gear that I picked up during this challenge starting to show their value. But here's the issue. Stone Gaze doesn't just petrify. It also inflicts slow. And once that happens, Evrae just stops respecting turn orders. Evrae picks up the CTP bar, throws it off deck, and starts comboing. Physical attack, inhale, poison breath, physical attack, another physical attack, like bro, where is my turn? Then inhale again, and another poison breath. Yes, that was 7 turns in a row. And just like that, first attempt is gone. Stone Gaze is a menace in this fight. I check my gear. I don't do any big changes here. Second attempt. Same opening, same plan, but this time I remember how important Albert potions are. Still, eventually, Stone Gaze comes out again, and Evrae starts comboing. It's over. I mean, this time I lasted 4 turns, but the result is the same. I need to avoid that move. So, for the next few attempts, I try fighting from a far range. That strat is actually pretty solid. Here Sid joins the battle, launches 3 rocket waves, doing around 2000 per cycle. Photon spray from range is totally manageable, especially with auto potions and shell on. I lanced Evrae all the way from the full HP down to the haze threshold, which kicks in once it drops below 1/3 of its HP. At that point, Evrae starts using Swooping Sky also. The damage isn't scary, but the fact that it forces close combat is. I check Evrae's behavior patterns, and everything says it shouldn't use Stone Gaze in this phase. Except it does. I seem to not understand the notes. So that strategy dies too. And that's when I realize this fight has a mini game. So here it is. Evrae's game, the 6. Evrae plays a game. I call it the 6. Once Evrae's internal counter reaches 6, it immediately uses Stone Gaze into place of its normal physical attack. And for this run, that's basically game over. Stone Brew protects you from petrification, but not from slow. And slow deletes your haste, drops you off the CTP bar, and lets Evrae chain turns until game over. Even slow word or slow proof doesn't matter. It goes straight through. There is one counterplay, auto haste, or in this run, SOS haste, since customization is banned. If SOS haste is active, the slow doesn't matter. You jump right back into the CTP after Stone Gaze. But Final Fantasy X has 2 sides, just like the PlayStation 2 disc. Wrong side up, the console won't read it at all. Right side up, game boots instantly. Same thing here. If I equip Wendigo's treasure for SOS haste, I lose Stone Brew, meaning petrification is back on the table, and Yuji will turn into a statue. But how does Evrae even reach 6? Here's the rules of Evrae's game. Magic-based attacks are worth 1 point. Normal physical attacks are worth 2 points. Once those numbers add up to 6, game over. Evrae wins. To be fair, I'd rather play Blitzball blindfolded than this. At this point, I'm feeling stuck again. Same kind of hopelessness I felt against Seymour and Anima. But then I noticed something very simple. Items don't add to the counter. 0 points, nothing. And that's when the brain lights up.
Tell me why. Why were you hiding it? Why didn't I know?
I'm blaming the Artifact Wiki for this one. The wiki didn't tell me this, so I come up with a really good plan. And that plan is simple. Throw bombs. Say goodbye to the smoke bombs we've collected. "30 items later, Evrae's HP is finally low enough that a single grenade finishes the job. And just like that, Evrae's stupid The 6 game is over. Evrae goes down and drops Fossil Kate's a stone touch weapon which just feels personal after that battle. Next up is more of Bevelle's heavy defenses, Tower of Light encounters, and eventually Evrae Part 2. Different minigame this time, not the number 6 game, that's going to be called Zombies and Phoenixes. Oh, most people skip Isaru's Aeons in challenge runs. Turns out the game had other plans for Yuji. Isaru be like, "I cannot let you pass. Your Aeons against mine. Wait, where's your Aeons?"